Hey guys, what is up? Today we are here with a special episode talking about Nine Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral. This episode is actually kind of special because this past weekend, on February 7th, I believe it was, I saw Nine Inch Nails in Jacksonville. Super awesome show. Oh my god, do these guys sound so good live. We got a couple really good songs from this album on that. I think we got Mr. Self Destruct. Um, we got Piggy, March of the Pigs, Closer. I want to say they did Ruiner, but I could be wrong. But they definitely did Reptile, Downward Spiral, and Hurt as well. Did they do Downward Spiral? I know they did Hurt. I just kind of started reading the track list off. But yep, this is a 14 song album featuring some of those songs I just mentioned. We'll just go in order. Mr. Self Destruct, pretty awesome, cool opener to the album. Piggy, a really cool, slower kind of little thing. Heresy, the super awesome, heavy, guitar centric with that very catchy hook. March of the Pigs, another heavier one that gets those calmer, kind of also a little more punky. This song gets into that softer part. You get Closer, the um, erotica industrial classic. Ruiner, kind of a kind of like the start of the more I want to say like the kind of shorter songs that are more based on the industrial noise, like the more noise rocky, noise metal kind of sounds. Then you get the Becoming, I Don't Want This, Big Man with a Gun, A Warm Place, and that's kind of like the like little gap in the middle of more industrial, like sound focused songs. Of course, like Big Man with a Gun has some vocals in it too. And then you get to Reptile, super awesome song. The longest song of the album, I believe, at like 6, almost 7 minutes. Really fun, good chorus, catchy. Then Downward Spiral, which really like mellows well. It's kind of a you know more soft kind of entrance into Hurt. The album's epic. Um, great song, classic. Of course, covered by Johnny Cash. Maybe more well known by Johnny Cash now. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to say that for sure, but definitely a great album. Um, so iconic in the industrial um, scene overall. This is probably what everybody thinks about. This is probably one of my top 5 industrial albums of all time. Up there with the likes of their next album, The Fragile, which is probably my favorite Nine Inch Nails album. And stuff like Construction Time Again for me, which is one of my favorite albums of all time as well. It's super tough. This album, of course, was the only sole member at the time was Trent Reznor, if you guys don't know, and a bunch of side musicians and kind of like DJs and stuff like. I don't know what you want to call them because it's more like seems like a lot more made by technology. Not that there isn't like guitar and stuff like that, but there's not really a focused band like there is for like the past 13 years. I think they kind of have their lineup now from about 2013 on, maybe 2016 on. I might be lying to y'all. Of course, with like Atticus Ross and um, I'm blanking on some of the other names right now. But actually, this album is actually has some pretty cool like little tidbits with it. So I guess like the guitarist that was working on this like got mad and thought Piggy was about him, so he left halfway through. As well as Trent actually rented out the house that why am I blanking on her name? The house that Sharon Tate was killed in. Of course, big popularity right now or in the past few years because of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But yeah, super weird. I called the studio Le Pig, which is kind of interesting. But overall, like this album has probably some of my favorite, like 100% some of my favorite Nine Inch Nails songs. Like I said, I mean, you really have some really good ones. Like Heresy, probably one of my favorites. I mean, Closer is their most popular song of all time. Great song. I really like Piggy and March of the Pigs. I think that one's really fun. Both of those. Reptile with that super awesome. Just everything about that song is super awesome. And I know Trent actually has said that it's like super close to him. That's like a song he loves a lot and wishes he would have put as a single apparently. and then Hurt is just a classic. Um, yeah, like honestly, I would say 90% of the songs, if you like don't know Nine Inch Nails very well, I'd say probably 90% of the songs are from this album, um, because it is just so perfect. I think it is one of those albums that really kind of broke the genre almost. Like you get some of those weird genres that like some people aren't just like you think are never going to be into. Um, like I'm trying to think of like a band that I can just think of just like pierce through like kind of everybody still knows about them, but like it's almost not quite what you think would be like mainstream in a sense. And now you're seeing that with a lot of bands because of like TikTok and stuff like that too, which is a very interesting little thing that has appeared. But overall, this album so influential, so powerful. It's kind of hard to decide where to put this. Because like I said, Fragile is probably my favorite, but I think there's no way I can put this not an S. But also I do kind of want to make a change here before we get too deep into that. I do kind of want to move Savage's album down to top of probably second and B. I think I'm more feeling the Division Bell. I like this album a lot. It's fun. But I just have been thinking like these albums I like better. I feel like it fits more in this B tier. So if you guys are watching and randomly see it up here, hopefully y'all aren't like what happened. If you do skip this album, but I think this album will be, this video will hopefully be a more viewed one, just because it is such an influential album and like there's so many people who have listened to this and had this album resonate with them, whether it be through that vicious kind of self-loathing, not maybe not self-loathing, maybe like almost like anti-establishment, kind of rebellious, dark album that just I don't know, it just kind of permeates throughout music history, I guess, in a way. Because this album, honestly, this album could come out today and it's like mixed so well, mixed so uniquely. Like my only complaint, really, and like I know I said like some of those songs are like kind of like more just filling the album, but I don't think they're bad. And I think it really works well. Like the kind of like second like or probably like quite like this 60 to 70% of the like that little section in there. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. Like probably tracks 5 no, probably tracks like 8 through 10 or something like that feel a little bit more maybe a little bit more fillery, if you want to say that, but they're still good. There's nothing wrong with them, and I think it still like works well within the album. Like I think you can have that where something is almost kind of fillery but like works so well that it doesn't break the mold of the album, and I think that can be the same thing said for The Who's Tommy. I think this album does more for me than, I don't know, it's tough. I think this album is great still. Relayer by Yes. I mean, this album I would say has stuck with me longer. I want to say it's probably second right now to The Who. I would say nah, I'm gonna stick it here. I'm gonna stick in the middle. I think this album, just because I like The Fragile better, I think The Fragile might take that place, but this album I think is just like right there. The only reason like I just like listening to The Fragile more sometimes because I think it is more clear in the mixing. Like I think the mixing works for this album and it does what it's supposed to. Like where some of Trent's vocals are pushed so far back that it's hard to hear. But it really adds to that like griminess, that very industrial feel that I think works so well with this album. I think it's so hard to move this anywhere. You know what I mean? It's so hard not to put this like, it could be top of S. Like it's a great album. It's honestly a travesty that I don't actually have The Fragile on CD. That's like, this is the only album by Nine Inch Nails I have on CD. I have a lot on LP, but not on CD. So I think this is just where this has to go. If you guys agree with this ranking, let me know. If you don't agree, let me know. Drop a like, subscribe, turn the notification bell for more. But that's all for today, guys. Peace.